Hello, this is going to be a quick introduction to my language channel. Um, I think my name is Chris, but I'll use my given um, channel name. I am the Confused Language Learner here on YouTube. Um, I recently, well, I didn't recently. Um, this is going to be a language channel just for me to document my language learning experience. Um, there are some things that I would like to clear up, though, in order to better get an understanding of what I'm doing with this channel. Now, the first thing that I like to clear up: I am not a polyglot. Um, the term polyglot in the YouTube language community gets liberally used, I think. Um, yes, I believe there are polyglots on YouTube that have, for many years, decades, learned several languages, whether it be easy or hard or in between. That's fine. But I believe they got to this through hard work and dedication. So when I say that I am a language learner, but I'm not a polyglot, I am saying that I've dabbled in some languages and some language study, but I am by far not a big connoisseur of language learning. My language learning skills in the past have been either great or abysmal, depending on what language I'm studying. Um, Now, what I'm about to say might upset some polyglots in the community because I know that several of them do not like this type of thing, but in the university that I go to in the United States, I have a Spanish minor. I'm currently almost done with it. Well, no, actually, no, I'm not currently almost done. I am almost ready to start it. Since it's a minor, it doesn't have that many courses. Now, I know in the polyglot community, there's a lot of backlash between. There's a lot of backlash with academia language learning, like, oh, it's useless. Oh, if you take an academia student and you take a non-university student, the non-university student who studied the language knows more than the academic student. Yes, I agree, that's true. But one of the main reasons why I have a minor, um, and the minor is Spanish, by the way, is because I want to use my language um, to better, with my, I'm trying to say this, not with my skills, because I can learn skills on my own, but um, something that could help me eventually get a job. That's what I mean. I'm using what I love to help me get me a job. Now, moving on from that. So, what has been my goal with language learning? So, I'll tell you a brief history. Well, hopefully brief. Just let me take a drink first. So, ever since I was a teenager, I really liked learning languages. Um, I always have, and it's whenever I was growing up, my family didn't really care that much about learning languages. My mom was a French minor in college that got her a job teaching education. She taught French in the middle school and high school level for like X amount of years before the subject she wanted to teach was available. Um, Another thing about my family's language learning history, um, my dad didn't speak that many languages. He was a Marine Corps vet who was in Korea but he spent a lot of time in Japan afterwards, and that's how he learned a little bit of Japanese, but not that much, just, through various ways. Um, my grandfather, he was really the language um, learner in the family. In fact, he would be technically a polyglot. Well, was a polyglot. Unfortunately, he is deceased. But my grandfather, he had, of course, he spoke English. Um, his parents were 100% Italian, off the boat from Italy. Uh, so they spoke Italian at home, and he was fluent in Italian. He was fluent in Italian until his late 70s. So there's that. He also, because he also was a science man and also a religious man, he knew a lot of Latin, so he studied classical Latin. I believe he studied it in high school and college. He had like classical Latin, and he also knew his French was really good too. Um, I don't know how he learned French, but it was really good. Um, so I do have some like language learners within the family. Um, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, I've also had some not so supportive um, family members. Um, my uncle, my mom's brother, he took French in high school with my mom, always hated it, did not like it. Um, I think he said that he failed so many French classes and he just hated it. So it's interesting to see how my mom, my mom and her twin brother, my uncle, um, they both had French in high school. My mom loved it so much she minored in it in college. My uncle, he hated it so much that he didn't want anything to do with it after 2 years of French. Well, not 2 years, 2 semesters of French in high school. Myself, on the other hand, um, I took some Spanish in high school, but it really wasn't that good. Um, I hate to say this, but um, my uncle told me that if I need to get anywhere nowadays, I'm going to have to learn Spanish. So he told me when I was going to become a freshman in high school that summer, he said, Christopher, if you're going to succeed in this world, you're going to have to know some Spanish. So, um, you know, you're going to have to, take some years of Spanish. So, my and which is odd because he believed everyone in America should speak English. He was very non-opening and monolingual, but that's another story. Um, so what I did was I unfortunately took his advice, and um, I took Spanish 1 in high school my freshman year. The teacher, the instructor, he was okay. He wasn't the best teacher out there. Plus, he also kind of confused the class a lot. Um, he was of Italian ancestry and also spoke fluent Italian. So so he might be teaching us Spanish, but he'll also teach us a little bit of Italian on the side. So for someone like me, who this was the first time ever that I was getting into like a foreign language, and I was like 14, 15 years old at the time, and I had a hard enough time trying to learn Spanish at that age, let alone him saying, "Oh, this is what it is in Italian," and I'm like, "Wait, are we learning Italian or are we learning Spanish?" I was confused. Um, so I took um, Spanish 1 in high school. I did rather decent enough by some miracle. I took Spanish 2 my sophomore year, and I didn't do so good in that because it was a little harder, and it just wasn't good. So I just ignored it for a few years, like thinking, oh, well, I don't really want to get involved in learning foreign languages. Why would I need foreign languages? So I just said, you know what, I'm done. Um, so in my 20s, though, I tried taking a Spanish class at a community college. Um, the class was called Elementary Spanish 1. The community college offered um, 4 major languages. They offered, they all called it elementary for some reason. I think elementary was the equivalent of like high school, maybe, from what I've heard. They had elementary Spanish 1 and 2, elementary French 1 and 2, elementary Arabic 1 and 2, and elementary Chinese 1 and 2. They also had intermediate Spanish, which was kind of like Spanish free, I guess. Um, so I took elementary Spanish 1, and I didn't really have a good time in there. Um, the professor, she would. Unfortunately, the professor cared more about her looks than actually teaching the language. She would teach us rather basic things, and while the basic things were easy, we would sometimes have to do um, like like an oral exam, like where we have to speak, and then she tests us on our ability to speak. Um, and unfortunately, because she wasn't teaching us that much, I mean, we were basically teaching ourselves at some point. I did not do good on the written exams. The 2 oral exams that we had to do throughout that semester, I failed both of them. Um, really wasn't that good. Um, so that stopped me from wanting to do, um, academic languages for a while. So I was like, you know what, I'm not going to move on to elementary Spanish 2 if elementary Spanish 1 is, you know, I just had a bad, experience. And when I found out that the same professor was teaching elementary Spanish 2, I was like, you know what, I'm going to pass. I'm sorry. I need to get my gen eds done and move on to a university. So um, I tried teaching myself some Spanish, and I picked it up rather okay, um, to the point where I know like a little bit of the basics on like an elementary level. I'm not saying that I know tons of Spanish. I'm not saying that I can carry on a full conversation, but I do know a little bit to get by. Um, I have studied a little bit on my own, and now I know a lot. Like I said at the beginning, I know a lot of people don't like the academia world as far as learning languages go, but I am a Spanish minor to help me with my major, and um, of course I'm going to be learning Spanish, but the one thing that I like about the professor that I recently had is he doesn't teach it like the way that regular academia does language courses. You all know they're so bad. It's like, okay, here's these drills, here's these phrases, here, study all these verbs, study all these grammar stuff, and it's not good because you know that those things don't work. Um, Thankfully, the professor who teaches Spanish at my university, he is so much good because he does not believe in all that stuff that academia says, like, oh, you should do grammar, you should do verb drills, you should do. No, he believes through immersion and through speaking, is that's how you learn it. And as in the polyglot community, through speaking, listening, hearing, and through experiences, that's how you develop language skills. So, um, yeah, so um, that's my, I should say that's my experience with Spanish so far. I'm hoping to expand on my experience. Um, Maybe once I know a few other stuff, I might do some practice videos and stuff like that. That's another thing. I did not create this channel to show off my language skills in any way, and I am not teaching anyone Spanish or any other language. I don't claim to know tons of stuff in order to be able to, go off on, oh, well, this is what you should do, this is what. No. These videos are mainly for me to record. I think I should stop the video now because it's over 15 minutes and I think I can't post anymore.